This is the lesson 2.6 visual summary. So we have two totally different situations. One is a situation only given in words, and then this column is going to be a situation given from a table. So I'm going to first work the left side, then we'll work the right. So it tells me the number of bracelets, B, that Mary makes varies directly with the amount of time in hours spent making them. So right away, as I read, I'm always trying to think about what does that tell me. So I know if it varies directly, then I know that there is a constant. And then if I keep reading, it tells me that. Assume that Mary's constant proportionality is 8. So here's what they want me to do. Write, and what am I writing? An equation representing the proportional relationship between B and T using the information given. Then I'm going to use it to answer each of these following questions. So I'm starting with the constant. It's 8 over 1. And the 8 stands for the bracelets, and the 1 stands for the time. So I wrote my proportion, but that's not what it asks. It asks me to get an equation. So I'm going to use means and extremes. So 1 times B, I get B equals 8T. Here's my equation. Bracelets equals 8 times every time in hours that I'm working. So here they ask if Mary works on bracelets for a quarter of an hour. So I need to know what a quarter of an hour is. I can either use fractions or decimals. So I'm using my equation. B equals 8T. So if I want to use fractions, time is 1/4. So then I'd say B equals 8, and I'm going to make it look like a fraction, times time 1/4. When I go to solve that, I can simplify. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 8 twice. So I would get 2 bracelets in a quarter of an hour. If I don't like fractions, a quarter is the same thing as 0.25. So I can use my equation, B equals 8, and instead of time, I'm going to put in the time, 0.25. Keep working down. B equals, when I multiply 8 times 0.25, I get 2. So my answer here would be 2 bracelets. Here's my answer. Always present your answer so I fully know what it means. Don't just leave it B equals 2. So I can do the same thing here. If Mary works for 2.5 hours, how many bracelets did she make? I could work this out both ways. So again, I'm still using my B equals 8T. And this is time. 2.5 hours is time. So if I like fractions, I'll say B equals 8 over 1 times 2.5. Now I need to know how to multiply fractions. I need to go to improper. So 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So I'd get 5 halves. Now I can simplify. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 8 4 times, and I get B equals 20. If I don't like fractions, I'm going to use 2.5 as a decimal. So I'm still saying B equals 8, and instead of T, I'm going to use the decimal equivalent, 2.5. When I take 8 times 2.5, I get 20. So there would be 20 bracelets. Here's my answer. Now they're telling me if I have 38 bracelets, how many hours did she work? So I'm still using the same equation, B equals 8T. But this time they gave me the bracelets as 38. So in place of B, I'm writing 38, everything else straight down. Now I'm going to isolate for my variable. So I'm dividing both sides by 8. And when we divide both sides by 8, 38 divided by 8 gives me 4.75. So it doesn't make sense for me to say 4.75 is time. What is my time? So remember, when we went back to the beginning, it tells me time is in hours. So if I like decimals, I might say 4.75 hours. If I'm someone who likes fractions, I might say 4 3/4 hours. If you're someone who wants to say it in hours and minutes, 3/4 of an hour or 0.75 of an hour is 45 minutes. So you could say 4 hours, 45 minutes. All of these would be acceptable answers. Now on the other side, we have a different situation, and this is from a table. So first it asks me, what is the constant and what does it mean in the situation? So I need to make sure there is one. So remember, constant is always y over x. So this is y, this is x. So 22 over 1 is 22. 44 over 2, so far it looks like I'm getting a constant. 66 over 3 is 22. I have to check them all though. 88 over 4 is 22. So what is my constant? There's all my work. So the constant is 22. So to figure out what it means, again, I'm going to make it look like a fraction. So I'm going to put a 1 underneath. And we know that that's y over x. So if I go back to my table, y is miles. So this is 22 miles. And the 1 is x. X is gallons. So what this means is 22 miles for 1 gallon. 22 miles per gallon. That's what it means in the problem situation. So now, does this situation vary directly? Okay, so as soon as I see that, I have to think of two things. It has to be straight, which means it has to have a constant, which we just know it does. We just figured that out up above, so I know I'm good there. The other thing it has to do is go through the origin. When I look back at my table, it does. So yes, it varies directly because it's straight and through the origin. Okay, last, it tells me to write an equation representing the relationship between m and g and the given information. So I'm going back to my constant, 22 over 1. 22 stands for miles, which is m. The 1 stands for gallons, which is g. And now I'm going to use means and extremes. 1m, 22g. There's my equation. So to find the miles, it's equal to 22 times every single gallon.